He is one of the top infectious disease doctors in New York, and every Thursday he joins us to answer your COVID-19 questions. He's Dr. Rahif Fernando, and thanks for joining us again this week, Doctor.
Oh, thank you so much for having me back. It's always a pleasure to be here.
All right, we got a busy week here of questions, and I think some interesting questions. First one comes from Mary Ann from New Milford. She says, what's the deal with all these new inflated case and casualty numbers that just came out this week? What's going on with this?
Yeah, so I think some of the things that we're seeing right now, particularly in Connecticut, is very interesting. I was seeing more than 90% of the cases in Connecticut were from nursing homes. So that's a real big problem. Between the 22nd and 29th, the death cases rose from 1,544 to 2,089. That's really scary numbers. Remember, 90% are coming from nursing homes, and this is very worrisome. Unfortunately, nursing homes for me are considered petri dishes, like a cruise ship or a subway. That's unfortunately what we have in nursing homes. It's a real scary situation.
No, it really is, and everybody wants to reopen, get back out there, and that is probably why some of these numbers have risen.
Yeah, this is unfortunately a big problem. Last weekend we had some great weather. Everyone came out to play. No social distancing, no masks, and these are the repercussions. We see right now we have 20 countries in America with 20 states. Haven't slept in a couple of days. 20 states in America with increasing number of cases. And for me, that just isn't the right time to actually reopen the country when 20 states are actually showing increasing infections. Everything has to be done on a state-by-state basis. But I don't think Connecticut is ready to really get going again.
Our next question comes from Jay in Danbury. He says he's heard conflicting stories about the social distancing. Some say it works while others say it doesn't matter. Now, what's your professional opinion on this, Dr. Rahif?
Sure, great question. And for me, let's just look at the countries where social distancing has worked. Now, just off the bat, I think the United States has unfortunately failed with their social distancing process, and for the reason I'll explain after this. Firstly, countries like South Korea, India, for example. India, 1.2 billion people, but there are very few cases over there. Imagine containing 1.2 billion people. And what India did was, they had locked down, literally what's called a national lockdown. If you were to reverse your car onto the street, if you were found doing that, you'd be arrested. All kinds of things. So, it's very, very strict, and that's how they keep, the cases under control. 1.2 billion people. Let's talk about Italy. Mayors are on the streets, talking to people and say, listen, if you don't go upstairs right now, I'm arresting you. These are the kind of situations which happened. South Korea, the same. You're fined heavily if you're by the authorities if you're found in the street. Now, let's take that to the States. We love our freedom in America, democracy. So there really was no way to actually instill this very strict guideline. So once again, I think, we flattened the curve. But overall, if you were to ask me, I think it's a failed process. So that's why we are here right now, way into this epidemic and still not showing any signs of going away.
This question, Dr. Rahif, comes from Dawn in Carmel. She wants to know, is the antibody testing still happening? She hasn't heard about it in like a week or so, and has it been working?
Yeah, so the antibody test is touted to be America's test to get back to work. So let me tell you a little bit about it and actually why it can actually be dangerous in certain cases. So for every infectious disease, when you recover, you get what's called an antibody level. So let's say something like measles, and let's say you have a level of 0.50 and above to say that you're immune to measles. So for COVID-19, you just have, the test tells you do have an antibody, but it doesn't give you the level of what level you need to be considered immune. So at this point, it just says you're exposed, but unfortunately, it doesn't say whether you're actually immune to getting it again, a reinfection. So that's something you have to watch very closely. Of course, this is being touted as, if someone has it, it's a passport of immunity. Employers like it. They say, oh, well, you're immune, get back. But really watch very closely. We need some more information. I have not seen any study so far across the planet where if something is done and you get this antibody test, which is positive, where it actually means you are actually safe from getting reinfected. Not a single study on the planet right now. So I urge all of you to watch very closely. So the PCR test is fantastic, the one which diagnoses new cases, but this is so far from perfect, so we really have to keep watching this test.
Now, somebody gets tested, and they said, okay, you're negative. You don't have the virus, right?
Yeah.
On a Monday. Well, don't they have to be tested like almost every other day?
Not really. No, not definitely. There's no protocol like that. Sometimes, I mean, when you follow people out of the community, you just want to make sure and see whether they're not colonized with it. But certainly, every 2 days is not indicated at the time.
Okay. Well, again, a wealth of information, so much packed into a short segment, and I thank you, Doctor, for being on the show, and I thank you so much for all the work you've been doing, too.
Thank you so much for having me, and stay safe, Connecticut.